Hello everybody, Quo here, and this is my Pokemon Snap speedrun in 21:18, 21 minutes and 18 seconds. So I'm playing this game on a Japanese N64 since it's the fastest version. I'll get to version differences later though. So first thing most people ask is, how do you speedrun Pokemon Snap? It's an auto-scroller slash on-rail shooter slash slow game, etc. There are three major aspects in Snap speedrunning that are important, so the number of Pokemon pictures you have, the amount of points, and obviously speed text. So picture taking route mainly revolves around getting 40 Pokemon by the end of the 5th course, and having 130,000 points by the end of the 6th course. The Pokemon route is essentially the same each run, but points can vary and usually get tight if you try to do fast strats. So as far as speed texts go, the first one, if it's not obvious enough, is looking at the sky. This game is really laggy, so we want to have the least amount of polygons loaded on screen at a time. Usually we'll look at the sky or the ground. I'll get into more complicated speed texts as they come along. So the first course we're in is Beach. Not much happens except getting a few pictures and a lot of lag reduction. We get 7 Pokemon here. None of them are particularly noteworthy. Butterfree's probably the worst on this course, because getting a good picture depends on its RNG pattern and getting a picture with its wings spread out. The other one that can be a bit tricky is Lapras, since it also relies on RNG for when and where it'll pop up. So here I need to look down, Lapras wasn't there, and then look back again, and see her. Neither Lapras or Butterfree were particularly bad this run, so didn't cause too much trouble. So a lot of the time for looking down to get pictures, I'll either use a visual cue or a sound cue. The best example is there's one coming up soon that we'll hear Doduo and then a Pidgey, and that lets me look. It lets me know to look down for Meowth. So that was Doduo right there. Last thing for Beach is get Kangaskhan and Eevee. So I wait a while to get to Kangaskhan for a couple of extra points since Eevee's chasing Chansey around and I need to get a clear shot of Eevee. Chansey's 100% female, so I don't know what Nintendo is advertising with chasing women and all that. Anyways, menuing is a big deal in this game. Usually menus are the same since each run gets the same pictures. Optimizing menus is a bit tough, but usually it's the biggest indicator from a new runner to an experienced runner, since you can lose a lot of times at just admiring pictures. As far as points go, everything in Beach was solid, and I finished the course with 19,300 points, which is definitely a good start for the run. Next thing we're going to do is get the first item, the apple-shaped Pokemon foods. Pokemon food. Anyways, we need 24,000 points for that, but we also need the apple to beat Tunnel, so what we'll do is get 2 pictures, and then we're going to exit out. We need enough for 24,000 points, and then Oak will give us the apples. So this strat to get the Pikachu and Electrode is a bit new. There's an older strat that took 5 pictures that included Pikachu on a ball. It's about 3 seconds slower, but you get 1,000 points more. I didn't need it, so went for the faster strat. So now we have the apples, and we can start. And get to the end of tunnel. The next important speed tech is called camera locking. So you'll see this a lot here in Tunnel. Basically, when you move your cart, or when you move your camera rather, your cart moves with it. So if you look left, your cart's going to shift left a bit. Same thing if you look right, and look backwards, it'll use down. But if you zoom into your camera, your cart will remember that position. So if you look forward, you zoom in, you can look left and right, and you won't lose any speed. So you'll see that a lot in the run. There we had to throw 2 apples at Electabuzz to get in front of him, then just turn around and take a picture. What we're going to do next is get Kakunas. Kakunas drop down when you hit an Electrode, or rather, when it explodes. And then just gotta line up with the Zubat. This one's just timing, nothing to it. All good pictures. One noteworthy version difference between English and Japanese is the cart speed. The cart actually moves a bit faster in some levels, in the Japanese version compared to the English version where it moves a bit slower. One of the courses that it does do that is in Tunnel, so a bit of time save here, always fun. The other major time save from Japanese is the text difference, since there's less text boxes. So coming up is Haunter, Diglett, and Dugtrio. It's possible to get a 4,000 point picture of Haunter if you take it as late as possible, and then we need to snap a quick pic of Diglett before he goes down again. Got both of them, but easy stuff. So here I try to get good pictures on both the last Diglets, just in case I miss, because in this case I actually did end up missing, so always a good thing. And we need to get the pictures of all 3 Diglets to get those Dugtrio, or to get that Dugtrio, rather. And lastly, at the end of tunnel is the worst part. We need to get a good picture of Magnemite, fuse all the Magnemites together, get a picture of Magneton, and make Electrode explode while doing that as fast as possible. So I got a picture of Magnemite, then I try to smack Electrode with an apple while the Magnemites are fusing together. I ended up getting him on the second apple hit, which isn't that bad, but oh well. We do try to throw apples at Electrode as soon as possible to get him to explode faster. Sometimes the Magnemites are not together when we try to take a picture of them, which sort of sucks, but in this run we managed. So making Electrode explode unlocks the 3rd course, Volcano, but we gotta show Oak our pictures first. This menu was a bit affected since I got the 2nd Diglett instead of the 3rd one, but that makes the management actually easier, so not gonna complain about that. No major point losses here. I could have maybe scored 1,000 points more if I got a few lucky shots, but it's not the end of the world. Electabuzz, Kakuna, Zubat, and Haunter were all really close to 4,000 points, which is good. And I ended up just short of 55,000 points, which is definitely a good start to the run. Good for entering Volcano. Volcano incorporates the newest strat at the end of the level, but before we get to that, we do need a few pictures. Points are still super important, so we do need to get good pictures of everything, starting with that Rapidash. So one important thing to know is that if a Pokemon isn't facing you, the points are going to be really bad, unless they're doing something like Vulpix here, who's cheering at an apple, so that will count as a good picture. Another version difference between N64 and Virtual Console is that Oak is a lot more strict on pictures on the Virtual Console version. So that Vulpix, for example, will count as being centered since I'm on N64, but it wouldn't have counted on VC. So you can say that the superior system saved the run. The next segment coming up in a bit, we need high points for Charmander and Magmar, have Magmar hit Charmander with Flamethrower to make it evolve, and then get a good picture of Charmeleon. Getting bad RNG here, based on their positions, or messing up this segment, can lose over 2,000 points, which is a lot. In this case, everything went fine, got all the pictures I needed. And last but not least, the newest strat in this run is called Early Moltres, name pending. So getting a picture of Moltres right as it comes out of the lava saves about 4 seconds, but loses 2,000 points-ish, a bit more. It's really risky since we need 72,500 points to get the next item, but the time save makes it all worth it. So I ended up getting good pictures of everything, lost a couple of points on Magmar, but everything ended up fine at the end. I ended up with 72,700 points, which is 200 points more than I need. Cutting it close, but not gonna mind. River 1 happens pretty fast, so since we have enough points for the Pester Balls, which is the 2nd item, we enter River, take a quick picture of Poliwag, and then exit the course. This is another good example on how Oak is more strict on Virtual Console, since that trick actually doesn't work on VC. That's where most of the time save from Nintendo 64 comes from. So here we get the Pester Balls, same deal as Apple. We need them to complete the course, River. River is known for being the worst course in the game for speedrunning, because of RNG that will literally kill the run, and there's no consistently fast backup strat for it. But we'll get to that at the end. So we go for a good picture of Bulbasaur here, which includes the 2nd one in the picture, just to get a couple of bonus points. And of course Bulbasaur eating an apple is worth a couple more points. This next segment involves getting Slowpoke, Shellder, and Slowbro. The faster you do this, the better shot you have at getting a good picture of Psyduck. So we try to move Slowpoke as soon as possible. I do end up getting a couple of apples in the water, which is unfortunate, but I do get Slowpoke there pretty fast. Slowpoke does live up to his name and takes pretty much forever to get where the Shelders are. So here I'm going to throw an apple. That's going to be for the Slowbro. Since Slowpoke here and Shellder are counting as opposing Pokemon, and then Slowbro is eating an apple, so that's going to be worth more points. Here we want to try to hit Psyduck with a Pester Ball. I ended up missing, which sucks. Yeah, not much I can do about that. Getting a backup Psyduck loses about 1,000 points though. So next up is the Metapods. Same idea as Bulbasaur, we get 2 in the shot just for bonus points. They can be a bit tricky to hit, but not too bad. And we get Metapod as close as possible. So here I take a picture of Psyduck just in case, and then I will try to go for the good Psyduck. I did end up getting him and awkwardly missed a picture. This next part's pretty tough, so we want a picture of Porygon normal and eating an apple, and we also need a picture of Cloyster. We did get Cloyster, and got Porygon, and then throw a Pester Ball to Porygon at the end. Porygon at the end to exit the level. So Cloyster is the major RNG section in this run. It has a 1 in 4 chance to pop out, but there are 3 separate chances, which brings it up to about a 58% chance for you to see a Cloyster in a run. Which is a bit unfortunate that it's so far into the run, but what can you do? And hitting Porygon at the end unlocks the 5th course, which is Cave, and we'll get to that soon. That menu did get a bit muffed up since I took extra side-up pictures, but I still managed it well enough without wasting too much time. Everything in River was good except for the Porygon, since I did take a bit of time taking a picture of it, so it didn't count as eating an apple, but still ended up with 102,000 points, which is more than enough. So course 5 coming up in Cave is without a doubt the laggiest course in the game, so I need to be extra careful on lag reduction here. We need to get this first picture of Grimer to trigger the Grimer coming in later to appear, or else he just won't be there. So for this next Grimer coming up, if we throw 3 Pester Balls at him, he's going to evolve into a Muck, which is pretty good because if we throw a Pester Ball at him, he's going to Jiggle, which counts as a pose, and that's actually about a 4,000 point picture for that Grimer, which is convenient. 2 birds, 1 stone. Then turn around, get Muck. We do need to throw a Pester Ball at one of the Bulbasaur-shaped Dittos, and this one turned around was a bit rude. So I did have to get his attention with an apple. So coming up is a really risky strat that involves sniping the Weeping Bell from pretty much across the map. So when I look here, I'm looking for if the Weeping Bell's close by. He was, so I went for it. I did end up missing, unfortunately. So it does save about 7 seconds, but you need a lot more points in Valley, so it doesn't actually save 7 seconds, it's more like 1 to 2 seconds, but it's a time save. I did miss him, did get him this time though. He evolves into Victory Bell, and we get to exit. So if Cave isn't laggy enough, the menu for Cave is also really bad. So you'll see me go a bit slower here, but that's because the lag will literally not let me move the cursor. So nothing out of the ordinary as far as points go. Everything was basically on par with what I should be getting in Cave, so I'm really not complaining. And we finish Cave, whoops. There you go, we finished Cave with 40 Pokemon total, as promised, to unlock the last course Valley, and 126,000 points. So we will need a picture of a Pokemon in Valley. First we're going to get the Pokemon sign, but I'll get to that later. And since we only need 1 picture, as I mentioned, we have a solid 2 minutes of looking at the sky. So I will take this time to go over a bit of history about the game, because I like history. So Pokemon Snap was originally supposed to be on the Nintendo 64 disk drive platform, however due to poor sales of the system, we instead got it on an N64 cartridge in 1999. This game was one of the first spin-off Pokemon games on console, coming out about 1 year after the original Pokemon Stadium, which was a Japanese exclusive game. It only had 42 Pokemon. In North America and Europe, Pokemon Snap would be the very first time that gamers would see Pokemon rendered in real-time 3D, so that's pretty exciting. Snap went on to selling almost 3 million copies and ranked 12th on the list of best-selling Nintendo 64 games. So there's a video of an early build of the game on the cutting room floor. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It has quite a number of differences as beta builds usually do. One of the more unfortunate differences is that there's an Ekans in the early builds, but not in the final game. Bit unfortunate. Some of the Pokemon also act a bit differently as well, so you can see a Snorlax get up and turn around on his own, and you can see Pidgeys walking on the ground compared to in this game where they're only flying. So, a couple of differences. There's also a theme, or a song rather, called Fantastic Horror, which would have been used for a ghost theme level, and more interestingly, there's another song called Theme of the Horror Boss. The comments on both of these songs are, this is a tune for a lost stage because of some reasons. Reasons aren't actually specified, however, so we'll never know what happened to that. The game was later re-released in 2007 for the Virtual Console, and was one of the first games to have the ROM actually modified, compared to games like Ocarina of Time, for example, that even though there are aesthetic differences, the differences are applied by the emulator and not actually a mod being modified. The modified ROM in Pokemon Snap is probably the cause of most of the differences that I mentioned earlier in the run. So here we do need to get a picture as mentioned. We get a Dragonite for roughly 4,000 points. And now we need to hit one of the most precise tricks in the game. It's called Mankey Snipe. So once we knock down Mankey with our makeshift bowling ball, we need to hit Mankey onto a button. So we start by launching Pester Balls over the hill and hope it hits. It did hit, as expected. There is a setup for that. If it's done right, then the 5th best Pester Ball you throw will always hit the Mankey. It saves about 5 seconds. It's still tricky even with the setup. So now we meet Oak at his lake house or something, I don't know. And we unlock the capability to be able to submit Pokemon signs. The first one was the Dugtrio Mountain right there that we caught at the beginning of the level. And with Dragonite we have 130,000 points, so we have enough points for the final item, which is the Pokeflute, but since we also completed Valley for the first time, the game gives us the Dash Engine first, since it can't give us 2 items at once. Dash Engine makes us go a bit faster, so always appreciated. Now we'll go on to our quest to get the 5 remaining Pokemon signs, starting with Cave because it's the fastest level to select after Valley. The sign for this level is of Mewtwo, but you won't actually know it till you submit the picture, since we only see like a constellation of gems, I think. I don't think they're stars. Anyways. So snap quick picture, and there you can see Mewtwo, as he's intended, I guess, to be seen. Alright, so now the game will give us the Pokeflute, and just in time too, because we do need the Pokeflute to get the next sign in River. So Vitalplume's gas is covering up what would be a Cubone tree or rock formation or something. So we do need to wake her up with the Pokeflute. So wake her up, then look away to reduce the lag, and when we get close enough, quick picture of Cubone, and then exit the course. So the next sign we're getting is the Volcano sign. This one's right at the beginning of the course, which is great. So we need to play a bit of basketball first with Volcano by throwing a Pester Ball in it. Luckily I got the first ball in, so that's always great. Quick sign. That was coughing, by the way. That one's not too hard to get. So the tunnel sign is the hardest one in the game to get by far. Right at the beginning we need to get past Electrode and Electabuzz, so what we do is that we head to the right edge, and then wait 3 seconds and then start dashing again. I didn't feel like I was confident to get past the Electabuzz on that run, so I did throw an apple at him. Doesn't lose that much time though. Here what we need to do is get Pikachu close to the egg and then Thundershock it, so 2 apple throws is enough. And then use the flute when he's close enough. I've done it enough times that I can estimate when he's going to be close enough, so don't need to look back. One really cool thing in this game is that the music actually changes and adds in drum and bass to the tunnel theme song when the power plant's on. We don't hear it much because we do need to get out of there as fast as possible. I got the sign on the second flash, it's Pinsir by the way, which is acceptable. So the final Pokemon sign is in Beach, and it's a rock formation of Kingler. It's nothing particularly exciting happens. I do look to the left there to reduce lag a bit. So now that we have all 6 Pokemon signs, a rainbow colored cloud that everyone seems to have not been paying attention to, I guess, appears in the sky, and that's where we'll meet Mew, which is the final boss that the game decided to not cut. The strat for the Mew fight is to throw apples blindly and hope they connect. If not, you just hit her when you can. This fight was definitely not as good as I'd hoped for, but at this point I was nervous enough that hitting her without wasting too much time isn't that bad. This cycle especially I missed twice, which is quite unfortunate. So you need to hit Mew 3 times when she's in her green ball and 3 times in her yellow one. That hit was really good. And the last hit. Then Mew appears either to the left or to the right. There's no way to know. She did manage to fake me out. I thought she would appear to the right there, but... yeah, well. Did get the last picture in the run, so not gonna complain. And then timing ends right here when Oak asks you to save. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this run. This is an improvement by over 30 seconds from the world record when I started running, which was 21:39 by Karmraz, which is almost 2 years old now, I guess, January 2014. Since then, the record was dropped by 1 second by GameFan Dan. His PB at the time was 21:59 on the English version, did 1 run on Japanese, and got the record by a second with 21:38, which shows the true power of the Japanese. He then improved the record to a 21:30 in February 2015. Then earlier this month, in October rather, I can speak English, I broke the record with a 21:22, and finally dropped it down to this run, which is a 21:18. And that's the history of Snap for the past 2 years. So I'm really happy with this run. It's not flawless, so there's room for a newer runner to get the record, but hopefully it stands for at least a little while. If you guys are interested in running this game, either tweet at me or message me on Twitch or something, or talk to any of the Snap runners. They're all good guys, they'll help you out. Unless this run gets beaten very soon, I'll probably drop 90% for now, focus more on 100%, which is a bit of a longer category, a bit more annoying, but it is a fun category. We'll see. That's it for me though. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully I answered the how do you speedrun Pokemon Snap question, as that would be the real accomplishment in this run. Alright, ciao guys, thanks for watching.